Welcome to The Explainer, and this week, we're taking a high-speed tour through the absolutely wild world of real estate. The headlines are getting crazier by the day, so all right, let's just dive right in.
First up, the market is sending some seriously mixed signals. I mean, check this out. The vast industrial spaces that, power our entire economy, they're seeing a historic reversal.
And at the same time, you've got these iconic skyscrapers, the ones that define our city skylines. Their values are just evaporating. We're talking appraisals that look like a typo, but nope, they are terrifyingly real.
And look, this isn't just a problem for the big guys, the titans of industry. Everyday investors, folks who bought into the real estate dream through these crowdfunding platforms, they're now facing massive, painful losses.
Okay, so these headlines, they paint a pretty chaotic picture, right? So let's try to make some sense of it. First up, Section 1, the market, a snapshot. We're talking a tale of two trends here. Yeah, it's really a split-screen story. On one side, you have states like Nevada and Florida seeing a big surge in home foreclosures. But then you hop across the pond, and the UK is having a surprisingly strong summer. And why? Well, it seems to be driven by smarter, more realistic pricing.
But honestly, the biggest story in the US right now isn't just about foreclosures. It's about something way more fundamental. It's Section 2, America's affordability problem. The big question is, who can actually afford to buy a house anymore?
Okay, get ready for this, because this next stat has been going viral for a reason. It's like we're in a time loop. The median home buyer today, in 2024, was born in the exact same year as the median home buyer from 17 years ago. Let that sink in for a second.
And this number right here, this is why. The median monthly mortgage payment, it's projected to hit over $3,000. That's nearly double what it was just back in early 2020. So what's happening? Well, it's basically locking out younger generations, right? It's leaving Gen X to just trade properties amongst themselves.
Okay, let's pivot now to the commercial sector. Because if the residential market has a cold, well, commercial real estate has the full-blown flu. We're at Section 3, commercial real estate's crossroads. It's going from bad to worse for these big buildings.
Remember that headline from the top? Here it is. A single skyscraper in New York City, Worldwide Plaza, just had its value slashed by a staggering $1.4 billion. I mean, the scale of that is just, it's hard to even wrap your head around.
And no, it's definitely not just a New York problem. Let's head over to the other coast. Downtown LA's Wedbush Center. Its value has plummeted by a whopping 70% in just a handful of years. 70%.
So, you get the picture. Whether we're talking about gleaming office towers or these huge, sprawling warehouses, the bottom line is this. The entire commercial sector is facing a historic reckoning. For the first time in 15 years, more industrial space was actually emptied out than filled up.
Okay, but while the US market feels pretty much impossible for so many people, some folks are finding these truly radical solutions. How? By looking way, way outside the box. Which brings us to Section 4, the wild world of real estate, or as I like to call it, meanwhile in Sicily.
So I want you to meet Kiki Lee. She's 28 years old, and she traded the absolute grind of Los Angeles for a medieval village in Italy. And how did this all happen? After a fateful, life-changing scroll on, you guessed it, TikTok.
And this table, wow, it really tells the whole story, doesn't it? Real estate in LA is nearly 11 times more expensive per square meter than in the Sicilian region where she bought her home. We're talking a small apartment versus a 17-room house. The contrast is just, it's unbelievable.
Get this, for just $31,000, she bought a 17-room house with castle views. I mean, that is less than a down payment on a tiny little condo in most American cities. It really puts that affordability crisis back home into stark relief, doesn't it?
All right, so this kind of crazy market volatility, it creates a ton of noise online, right? And sometimes that noise is just, well, it's just plain wrong. Which brings us to our next section, debunking the viral panic. Seriously, don't believe every headline you see.
Here's a perfect example. A viral post recently started making the rounds, and it freaked everybody out. The claim? That a huge wave of federal layoffs was about to completely crash the DC housing market. I'm sure you saw it, it was everywhere.
But pretty quickly, the experts stepped in to set the record straight. Lawrence Yun, he's the chief economist for the National Association of Realtors, came out and said, quote, "The viral post is fake." Why? Because the actual data, it just doesn't support the claim at all, not even close.
And here's the key reason why that panic was totally misplaced. You see, foreclosure isn't like flipping a switch. It's a long, complicated process. The bank does an appraisal, then they try to work with the owner, maybe restructure the loan. Legal filings only start if all that fails. This whole thing is designed to keep people in their homes, and it can take years before a property ever hits the market.
Okay, so after that whirlwind tour through, well, everything, what does it all mean for you? Let's get to section 6, what it means for you, the key takeaways from this week's chaos. All right, let's break it down. First, it's clear the US residential and commercial markets are under some serious stress. Second, this whole affordability thing is pushing buyers to be either way older or way more creative, like moving to Sicily. Third, the global market offers these shocking contrasts in value. And this is a big one. You have got to be skeptical of viral social media panics. Always, always check the data. Basically, the very definition of what valuable real estate even is, it's changing right before our eyes.
Which leaves us with this final, kind of provocative question to chew on. When you see these wild swings, a $1.4 billion loss in New York City on one hand, and a $31,000 Italian villa on the other, what does the dream of real estate ownership even mean today?